you're done with the session, go on evaluate Teresa, and you can get 48 credits that way. So if there are no questions, take it away, Teresa.
Thanks, Kim. Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for staying on a Wednesday and checking out some sessions. My name is Teresa Cross. Currently I work as an ESL teacher in Salisbury Township School District, elementary level. I'm also a reading specialist and library media specialist. So what I'd like to do for you today is have you go through Nearpod, one of my favorite tech tools that I like to use with students. It's a great engagement tool. So I'm going to have you work through this in the beginning of the session, and then I'm going to take you to my ESL Tech Toolkit and show you some things that you can do with your students. So hopefully everyone is in Nearpod right now, if you'd like to follow along with us. If not, we have it on the screen. As you can see right here, I have two screens. I wanted to show you the two features. This is going to be what you see on your screen, and this is what the teacher is going to see. So you could decide how you want to project this. There's a lot of options if you're using Nearpod. You could either have the students watch on the screen while they're watching on their computers, or you could just close your screen and have everyone looking at their computers during the lesson. The number one thing that you want to do with ELL students in your classroom is get to know your students. We all do that. So I want to get to know my audience so I can help you today in this session. So everyone is from different places all around the world. As you can see, Nearpod has 3D features, and I just wanted to throw that in there for fun. Okay, I think I accidentally said this wrong. This is what the teacher sees, and this is what you would see. So the first question I want to do to get to know you is what best describes the primary content area that you teach. Now keep in mind this Nearpod feature only gave me a few answer choices, so I couldn't type in a lot of different answer choices. So if you could just please answer one, and I know a lot of you might just have other, and I told you that Nearpod limits the amount. So as you're clicking, you could see, as the teacher, the answers. You could decide to show student names or hide them. So if you're doing an activity where you want your students to see what everyone is choosing, then you can hide their answers. It's a great feature. All right, so let's see what we have here. We definitely, as I met a lot of you, we have different administrators, coaches. Excellent, thank you for coming to help your teachers. Okay, the next question, what best describes the primary content area you teach? Again, I think I spoke to a lot of you, and a lot of you might have, you support teachers in your building. So just answer the best you can. What devices do you use with your students? That's important because I like to share iPad apps, Chrome apps, extensions, and websites. And I just want to get a feel of what would suit your needs as this audience. Okay, we have a lot of iPad apps, computers. Okay, great, excellent. I'm a big user of Google Apps for Education, which I know now is called G Suite for Education. And I'd like to have an idea of who amongst you use that as well. All right. Okay, another great feature that Nearpod has is an open-ended response. So what I have here is an image that you can click on that opens up for students to view, and I sometimes use this as a word bank. I wish that the students would be able to actually see a bigger image of this next to where they type, but that's not a feature right now. So what I'm wondering from you is if you could just list one tech tool that you already use. You can just type in Nearpod, any tech tool that you already know you use with the students. Oh, okay. You'll get a thank you message once you posted. Yep. You didn't actually? Okay. All right. We're going to move along. Okay, now let's get to the nitty-gritty. Now that I know about you, which is one of the most important things that you need to do with your ELL students, is get to know who they are. Obviously, you're going to figure out what country that they came from, what language do they speak, but we need to dive a little deeper and think about what language do they also speak at home with their parents. They might come to you and start speaking English very easily, but when they go home, they speak their first language all the time. I also, very important to get a handle on, have they had education that has been lapsed? Have they missed some education? I get a lot of students that they just came from another country, but prior to that, they were out of school for 2 years. That's very important for us to know so we know how we can start supporting them. So our guiding question today is, how will I use tech tools and instructional strategies to best make your content comprehensible for ELLs? How can we use strategies and tech tools? It's not all about the tech tools, it's going to be a combination. So have you ever thought, do your students kind of feel like this sometimes? Right, so Nearpod has a feature where you can add videos. I had the choice to either play the video on just my computer or play the video on your devices. I chose, hopefully, to play it on my device only. Okay, sorry about the volume, but does anyone know what she said? Does anyone actually speak Chinese? Okay. All right, this is what some of your students definitely go through. What are some things that you think could help us if we were trying to understand what the teacher is saying? Some things that she was doing. Yes?
Like she used visual clues, because she was also
Yeah.
saying like, hello class.
Right.
Now look at this picture, and she wanted to repeat the word.
Right.
She was pointing to the image.
Right. Now, I don't expect you to do this in your classroom all the time, but as you can see, I use my hands a lot. I pantomime a lot in my class. Again, you're not going to do it all the time, but at certain times of your class or in your lesson, you want to actually point to what you're going to have the students do. You want to make sure you're holding up some images. And some of the tech tools that I have provided for you do that. Make sure that they see images and they see where you want them to be learning. Excellent. Okay, here we go. Now, what exactly does it mean to make learning comprehensible? Let's see if you could click 2 correct answers. Do you want all content that has to be accompanied by complex definitions? All content to be said translated in the first language. Students are giving examples and explanations of the task using a step-by-step manner with visuals. And teachers help students to focus their attention on most of the important information. Okay, excellent. Great job, class. So, as I said, you don't have to worry about translating everything at this point. That's not the focus. You really want to pick a few things that you want your ELLs to focus on in the classroom and to gain instruction in their level. So they might start here, and then you want them to go here and here and here. Okay, one of the other great features of Nearpod is you could record your voice for the students. So if you have some information that you want the students to gain, you might do a voiceover, or you might have another student do the voiceover. A lot of times students learn auditory processing language quicker than reading, and of course than writing. So this is a great feature. What exactly does the term comprehensible Comprehensible input is simply an instructional shift when teachers provide input where students understand most, but not all, of the language. Think of Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. You want to make sure you're not teaching in language that might be out of reach, but rather use language that is just beyond the current understanding. Teachers use explanations that are clear, using step-by-step manners and visuals. Make sure students are given examples so they can start to make connections and begin to pose questions themselves. Teachers need to focus students' attention selectively on the most important information. Often, English language learners benefit from cognates. Their native language and the language they are studying often share a common linguistic ancestor. And students start to see that automatically, that words are going to connect to the English language. So how is the second language learned? Well, students have to learn the listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills. So Dr. Cummins' iceberg model of language development, I think most of you are familiar that students learn basic communication skills first. So it might appear that they know a lot of English because they're communicating with their peers. And then what they really need help with is the cognitive academic language proficiency. So one of the features in Nearpod is giving students the option to have word banks, fill in the blanks. So if you could take a look at this, let's see if we can figure out the basic interpersonal communication skills. How long do you think that takes? Does that take 1 to 2 years or 5 to 7 years? Also, how is that language? Is it complex? Is it social? And then what kind of pressure or stakes do the students have with basic interpersonal skills? One thing I wish that Nearpod did have for this feature is if you had students doing this by themselves, there is no option to read this aloud to them. So keep in mind if they need to work with a partner, if they need help to have words, or just encourage them to ask you to read things to them. So I know the older kids might not want to ask for that help, but it's very important that they do. So obviously having them in partners is a good option. Okay, so how do we practice this in our classroom? Well, we all need bags of tricks.
Felix the cat, the wonderful, wonderful cat. Whenever he gets in a fix, he reaches into his bag of tricks. Felix the cat, the wonderful, wonderful cat. You'll laugh so hard your sides will ache, your heart will go pitter-pat. Watching Felix, the wonderful cat.
Okay, so video is excellent for ELL and probably for all your students. Songs, they learn so quickly English language with songs. And Felix the cat is one of my favorites, and you are going to have your own bag of tricks. So these are those skills that, these strategies that you want to use in your classroom. Try to use some gestures. Have the students work with their peers. We just said that they learn their basic communication skills first, so allow them to work with their peers. When you can, use artifacts, real examples, body language. Okay, so let's move along here. We have some resources for teachers. These are the WIDA can-do descriptors. If you have ESL teachers, they know them in and out. And they should be sharing them with your classroom teachers. It can be a little overwhelming for the teachers, but the can-do descriptors have nice, simple I can statements or skills that the ELLs can work on in the various levels. So one of the other features in Nearpod that is excellent for ELLs and for all students is the option to engage with the actual presentation and draw on it. A lot of times the ELLs might not be able to type yet, but they can definitely draw and identify information. So we have a student named Rita, and her access skill scores indicated a level 3 in reading and a level 2 in writing. So we can circle that here by clicking on the marker. And then you can see they have simple directions or helpful tips for the teacher. So this is the first step with helping ELLs and guiding teachers with their help. We also have ELL overlays in SAS. We'll touch upon those quickly. So here's an example of a 6 to 8 math ELL overlay. And we have Rita again, and her ELL scores indicate a level 2 in writing. So here you could see there's performance indicators, again, to help a content teacher in math. What can the student actually do in their classroom? How can they support them? And I apologize that I'm moving along because we have a lot to fill in. So I'm going to keep going. Okay, the most important thing is it's not about the technology. It's about what are you doing with the technology to support the students. So what I tried to do is create a tech toolkit for myself that I use with the students, and then give them a tech tool that they can use on their own, whether it be at home or during center time or independent work. So what I created is the ESL Tech Toolkit, and now you should be able to click on this image and go directly to that website. I also handed out some papers that has the website as well. So I'm going to do that right now. And let's dive a little deeper into the actual tech toolkit. So I chose to have two toolkits. I created this one to use to share with teachers, and then I also have a toolkit on our district's website, and on that page I have something called Our Favorite Links. So the students know how to get there. And on this site I have a lot of images that are the actual links. Also, Symbaloo is a very good option as well, because they have the images to go and they know what website connects to the images. So on my tech toolkit, you will have some resources for the teachers. That's the first option. I'm not going to dive too deep into these. We just talked about the can-do descriptors. We also talked about the ELL overlays. I want to touch upon the TransAct translation services. This is especially great for your nurses. All educators can sign up for a free account for this website, and what it has in there is Pennsylvania Department of Education approved documents. So it always comes up sometimes if you have issues with needing a physical. You have several forms that are translated in several languages. I know Arabic is one that was hard to translate, so it's right there on there. We have Spanish, German, several languages. You also have Title I and Title III, all these different resources in there. So it's great because you could just print them right off, and you have the English version so you know exactly what it says, and the language version as well. Color in Colorado is an excellent source for those teachers who want to find more information. I won't go into there because once I go in there, I just keep going and going because there's so many resources in there. And they have great videos of examples of how you can support students. And not just ELLs, but all students would benefit from these. Teaching Channel. Oh, love it. Another example of how you could see videos of teachers that are engaging with students. Again, not just for ELLs, but I directed you right to the ELL Tech Toolkit. I listed some of my favorites right here. And then also keep in mind to look at the questions to consider after you watch the videos. All right, we have Larry's blog, which is excellent. This widget right here is also one of my favorite. So I don't know if you have already an ELL section on your district's website, but what we have available is this widget, which basically allows parents to translate the entire website for your district. So I linked right here how you can get your own widget and talk to your tech people to make sure that you have that available. And then we also have EduSpire's professional development. I'll plug for that because I teach a Tech with ELL course with them. So let's dive into the first skill, speaking and listening skills. So as we talked about, the students are going to learn to listen very quickly. Some kids need time before they speak and allow that to happen. So they need to have some basic skills. So some of us do give them access to Rosetta Stone. But if you can't pay for that with your district, Duolingo is an excellent, excellent app and resource. It's free, and right now we have a lot of teachers also using that. They'll use it on their free time as an app. There's also this website, Learning Vocabulary. Again, these are for the early beginners. They're not going to need this for a very long time, but provide them that access so you know it's a safe website for them to learn some basic communication skills right away. Now, you don't want kids just to absorb all the information. You want them to right away start creating and sharing with others. That empowers them and it helps them to learn more. So after I have my beginners work on learning some of the content, one of our favorite tools right away is using ThingLink. ThingLink has a free version and a paid version. There's an app and a website. We use both because right now the app allows you to use the camera on the iPad to record. If you want to record your voice on ThingLink on the computer, then you have to pay for that feature. But what we'll have students do is we'll have them start to just talk about basic communication skills, basic vocabulary, and you can have them start to record themselves in a very safe environment. So students often don't like to talk in front of the whole group, but they are usually very excited to record themselves.
The girl is writing.
This is the cat. So that was like one of her first times saying a complete sentence. So we were very excited about that. And so to dive a little deeper with ThingLink, you can also embed videos. And you can use this for any activity. I did it with a cause and effect activity. Students had to pick a picture, and they had to write the cause, the effect. They had to write a complete sentence. And this child also chose to make a video, recording her voice with that. What's great is that this can also be embedded easily into most websites. And one of the big things that we try to do is encourage our students to share with their parents. So this child, her father is still in the other country, so he was very excited to have the link to our blog that we use, and he was able to see her progressing with English. I also want to give a quick little, I do not write in Spanish, but I was in communication with him, and I do use Google Translate, but I reverse translate before I send the email, just to double check that it says what I want it to say. And he complimented me that, oh, your Spanish is very well written. I'm like, thank you. Thank you, Google Translate. So we're moving now into the speaking skills. I mentioned a little bit before, some students are hesitant to speak in front of others, so give them the opportunity on any device to speak and then share it. So Voki is one option.
Hi, my name is Princess Diana. I show leadership by being proactive. I'm trying to do the right thing. I will visit a children's hospital. I chose to help sick kids and cheer them up. I used to have it to begin with the end in mind because I was really nervous to speak in front of a crowd, so I took lessons to be more comfortable with telling a speech.
So students had to pick one person in history that they thought was showing the 7 habits, because we're a Leader in Me school. And what students like about Voki is they don't have to record their own voice. A lot of students are hesitant about that. they want to sound just like their American friends, so they don't want to have their accents. So I provide them opportunities with some of these other tech tools so it doesn't have to be their voice. Screencasting is one of the best things you can do with students. This is probably what I do the most throughout the day. And there are a lot of programs that do this. Basically, what you're doing is having the students record something on their screen and doing a voiceover. So simple, you don't have to go too high tech. So what we often do is use a Keynote or Google Slides. We'll type the information down, so we're doing writing. And then the students will read, so then they're doing reading, and do the voiceover to teach others about what they are learning. So all Mac users have QuickTime. There's also a website called Screencast-O-Matic and Jing. So find one that works for you. So this is whoops, there's a problem. I'll have to fix that later. So you could use this for, does anyone have an experience with screencasting with their students that you find? Yes. Can you share with us or no?
Oh, well, I'm a cyber school.
Okay, oh.
And we all have Macs for this, so they do a lot of their different presentations this way. So.
Exactly, and it's simple for them, right? Pretty much that's the thing that they learn right away. Okay. Sorry about this. Let's see if this one plays.
This is a map. I see a calendar. Here is a clock. This is my classroom.
Just wanted to show you something very basic for, again, a beginner. Right now we're focusing on them. So this child took pictures of her school. So she's learning the basic communication skills. She went around her school, took pictures, and then she had to figure out how to make a complete sentence and then do the voiceover and read it. But this is endless. You can do this with any contact area. We do this in math class. We have the students write a math problem using show everything. And then they're doing the voiceover to explain it and share it with their peers. So for any of you that are elementary teachers, and this could be for secondary as well, this is my favorite app called Tell About This. This one gives the students picture clues and then they ask them questions.
Right. He loves playing with his dad.
And at the end, I do have some free app logins for that one. Chatterbox. Please say people use Chatterbox or Chatterpix. Okay, excellent. This is definitely a favorite.
Hi, my name is George Washington Park. I was born in Missouri in 1864 as a slave. I wanted to go to school, but there was a little problem. In all these black people couldn't go to schools that white people were. I finally found a school that I could enter. I invented many things made out of things. Can you believe that? Maybe you will be like, what? But yes, it's true. I came up with over 300 products from the peas, such as soap, ink, and candy.
Okay, so this child is working on speaking a little slower, but she was just so excited to do this. And again, it's not her voice. It's fun to them. So we do this with all different history pictures. You could do it with a picture from a character in the book. So we're retelling something in the story. You could even do it a picture of a scenery and have the scenery talk. Again, you could do it in math class, science class. I like to take a picture of like maybe the science experiment and have them retell that. So I'm switching over to apps. I apologize I didn't mention that. The Chatterbox is an app on the iPad, and Show Me is another app. Show Me is basically a whiteboard where you can write on it, and then the students can do the voiceover. There's lots of other ones like Educations and Explain Everything and Screen Chomp. But what's great about these is that students can take pictures of anything they find on their iPad. So we can go to Google Maps, take a picture. We can search the internet, take a picture, save it on your photos, and you can do a voiceover again.
Hi, my name is Crystal. This is my school. The name is Harris Truman. It's a school. I like it. I like it so much. I've been home now, but I will move and safe.
So this is when the students are using their real voice, if they feel comfortable with that. I also like that it has the feature that you could just switch pages, so you can have multiple pictures.
I like and color. It went to school there.
So you can go on and on and on and add as many images as you want. So it's like a slideshow that's animated with your voice. For those of you that have Macs, you have GarageBand. Also, it is an app. Don't remember how much it is. But what I like about GarageBand is that the students can record their voice and again change it. I had a student, Luna, who for the longest time would really refuse to record her voice. So we came up with the option of using GarageBand because she was so intrigued of making all these different songs. So she chose a voice that she liked and recorded herself. So we do a project on fractured fairy tales. So we read several fairy tales. We chose to do Cinderella that year, and we read about 5 different Cinderella stories, and they made their own. And here's a quick little insert.
Once upon a time, there lived a beautiful puppy named Singapore. His mother was kind and caring. She married a woman with 2 daughters named Amanda and Laura.
Okay, so that was fun for her to definitely create that. All right, and then here, Erasma. Hands up, please. Show me that you use Erasma. Awesome, excellent. So there are endless opportunities for Erasma. Can anyone give an example? Just shout out how you've used Erasma. Book talks, thank you, excellent. Is anyone not familiar with Erasma? Okay, excellent. I will quickly show you.
Hello, my name is Angela. We're going to teach you about Erasmus. We're using the app Erasmus to share our videos. We need videos of how we use it. Erasmus is magic because it makes pictures fun. Sounds good.
Okay, the best ways for students to teach us, so I definitely wanted the girls to teach that to you. So Erasma is making, like they said, anything come alive. It is making something that's stationary, animated through your iPad or your digital device, such as your iPhone. It's free. You can create an account on your computer or on your device, and this is endless opportunities. Students can create journal entries. You can do a homework explanation, an interactive word wall. We do this every about week and a half. We change different vocabulary words for our reading. And then each student picks one vocabulary word that they want to act out and videotape themselves. And then we hook it to Erasma so all the students can go up to our word wall and scan it and see the video of the word and remind themselves what the words mean. Demos in science class. If you still have a science book, you can scan a picture of one of the pages and then have a voiceover of that page. Or you can have a video of one of your science experiments. Historical museums, scavenger hunts, landmarks and field trips, anything. You can scan a picture of your map and then have the students do a show me of talking about where that is and talking about the information. Open house and parent night. We did that one year where we had every ELL, there was about 40 of them, had one video that they chose they wanted to have for Erasmus. And when their parents came, they got to see that video using the mobile devices. So there's a list right here that I think maybe has like 50 other ways of how you can use Erasmus. But the ideas are endless. Does anyone know this movie? One of my favorite movies? Awesome. It's never ending. And here's a picture of the parents checking out Erasmus. Also, one of my colleagues told me that they heard about people using Erasmus with yearbooks. So that is definitely something very exciting. Okay, if you want to learn more about Erasmus, you can check this out here. I have a step-by-step process. So listening and speaking. Now let's move on to a little bit of reading.
I have a quick question.
Yes, absolutely.
So in my classroom, I have mostly graduate ESLs.
Mhm.
So I'm teaching fourth grade, and 45 to 50% of my kids were in ESL, so this is their first experience in being in general ed.
Mhm.
I'm hearing a lot of great things, but
Mhm.
I don't have access to iPads. We have
Okay,
Dell laptops.
great.
Is there any way that I can get websites for some of these things? Because we can't
Yes.
have apps.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of these are websites. Do you have access to Google Apps for
We do.
Education?
Every kid has a Google account.
That is going to help you tremendously.
So they're very
And-
good. They know forms, they know slides, they know
Right.
all that stuff.
Right. And this session could last, like, of course, a lot longer, but I see I only have about 15 minutes. So I want to direct you to the Chrome extension apps that I have on my website. That's going to definitely help you because there are many apps that you can use. And the one I actually have right here is Chrome extension, Screencastify.
No, will they have to download that on their computer? Like, will I have to ask that from administration?
It depends on your technology, what approvals they need. My students can just get the add-ons.
A lot of times, a lot of IT networks will let you install extensions.
Right.
I don't see this being a problem with my team
Right.
director. I just
Right.
want to know before
Right.
I do anything. Be like, hey, by the way.
Right, exactly. My students are freely able to just,
Extensions, a lot of times, they'll allow you to play with it.
right.
Okay.
But I would definitely look at a lot of the top ones were all websites, not apps. The only ones that were apps were the last 5. Okay, you know what? I'm going to skip to the content resources real quick because I know I have a lot of people in here that have content teachers. So you do want to provide your students with some dictionaries, okay? I know it seems so basic, but they need that. And some of these already have voiceover that you can use with the students, and they also have some videos. So take a look at these. Let's go down here. Songs and content class. Okay, I am an elementary teacher, and I do sing a lot with my students, but you know what? The older kids like to sing too. So I have a link right here. This is like a folk-ish singer. I think it's great. And my husband said, high school kids won't like that. And I'm like, I bet you they will. Because if you check out this guy, he actually has a connection with Discovery Ed, and all of his lesson plans and his lyrics are in Discovery Ed. If you don't have a subscription to that, he does have an option where you can request his lyrics from him. So having lyrics with songs. And what this is math content, and this is science content, and he has a few English content. So there's these songs that he has created for students. Let me go back for a second. Then we do have this rap and rhyme too. So this is another website that has raps for students to listen to. Here's this fraction rap.
Fraction is a part of a whole. Telling you this from the depth of my soul. Don't let this confuse your head. All you need to know is what I just said. Top number is the number where we start.
What I liked about this is that they included the words right here. So again, the students are seeing the lyrics and hearing the songs over and over. So what I would do is I would link this to a site so they can listen to it with their earbuds during center time or go back to it. Digital field trips are definitely excellent for all your students. So it's, again, adding the visuals to your content. If you're talking about your history lessons, show them where it was and what happened. Connecting with outside resources and experts is excellent. Now there is an option for Skype Translate, so check that out. Okay, let's transfer over to Chrome extensions real quick for those of you who uses a lot of Chrome extensions or add-ons. Okay, we have a ton of those for ELL students and, again, to benefit all your students. The number one thing you have to use those is an extension to help you to close out the extensions you're not using. I had too many, and then my computer kind of stopped working. So I chose to get Extensity, and what that does is it helps me to close out the add-ons or the extensions, the apps that I'm not using at the moment. So I don't have my students have that many. They don't need to use this just yet, but that's something to keep in mind. So find one that allows your students to select, highlight, and speak to them if you're using online content. Right now I'm using Select and Speak, and what that does is allows the students to highlight something on a website, and then it will talk to them. I had another favorite one. That one ended up just dying out. They didn't update it. So you might just have to keep an eye on making sure that it's still working. This one, there is a free version, but there is an option where you can pay for it, and the computer voice sounds better, But for now, it's really a good option. What students can do is use Google Dictionary as well. So if they click on something, they can go to the dictionary. It highlights it for them. And then they can also use Google Translate as well. So that's another app that's right there. So it gives them word-to-word translations. My students enjoy using that. Check into Read and Write for Google. A lot of teachers use this in all levels. This has a lot of features. The paid version is the best. And this is where the students could do all of the features I just mentioned all in one. Using the Google URL shortener is definitely an excellent option for those of you that have iPads. If you want a student to go to a certain website, you can create a QR code instantly. Okay, and then make sure you're using a YouTube blocker, advertisement blocker. A lot of the things I do have are on YouTube because, just face it, YouTube has excellent educational resources on there. So there are add-ons that you can have that blocks all the comments and then advertisements as well. The comments is a must. Okay, before I just keep talking a little bit, is there any questions or anything else? Because I have a lot of different options I can go through. I want to pinpoint before we finish that Nearpod was at P&C, and they were handing out to everyone a free 6-month subscription. So Why don't I put that on the board if you want to write this down. Check this out. Let me see. Hold on one moment. I took a picture of it right here. And then also, for any of you who want to possibly try out Write About This or Tell About This app, if you're willing to share maybe at least one tech tool or example that you might go back to your classroom and pass along this app. This is geared specifically towards elementary, but all levels could use this. Write About This is where they have a journal and they have picture clues to help them to write. And then Tell About This was one that I showed earlier where they have picture clues, but they're recording their voices. Sure. Yes. Take a better one now that I'm looking. I said, can you take a better? Okay. Okay, elementary teacher, do you want to try this right about? Anyone? No? No? Okay. Okay, yes. Yes, this is excellent. Someone will love it. Can you tell me one thing you would use? It's your exit ticket.
For the...
Just anything you would go back and tell your teachers, anything from our presentation.
Extensions.
Extensions? Okay.
Nearly enough of those.
Oh, yeah.
To help get, and to teach the kids.
I'm a big
so.
advocate for those.
Yeah.
Those are excellent.
Yeah.
Which one would you be interested in? Tell About This or Write About
Probably
This?
Write.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, extensions is what?
Yeah, because we have...
Which one would you be
Maryland, so
interested?
big
Tell About
district,
This or Write
18,000
About This?
Chromebooks.
Oh. This one is featured more of writing, and this one is more auditory.
Yeah,
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Just an FYI for Nearpod, the free Nearpod 6-month subscription is over today. So if you're
Okay, thank you.
It's only lasting while the conference is still.
I was wondering that, so I'm so glad you mentioned that,
I
Kim.
was in the Nearpod session yesterday.
Excellent.
It said it's only good while PNC is still running.
I did forget to ask that. Yes.
I'm actually the tech support, but I
Sure.
want to show it to our ESL.
Sure, that would be an excellent one for them. Hi.
The writing one.
Yes,
And to help them
excellent.
with their forming their
Yes,
sentences, because sentences
absolutely.
are the killer to me.
Yes, yes. So sentence structure, like sentence
And
frames
that's
and,
good for anything.
right,
I'm actually getting my degree in ESL.
Right.
Master's degree. So I'm gonna get, where'd you go through for your certificate?
at the time I was able to go through the